These are the eyeshadow palettes I used again in May. Welcome to everyone watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Today I have a video with 5 sixes, because there's too many palettes here. Eyeshadow palettes that were already in my collection that I know I love, that I just wanted to use again, because I am not a type of influencer that only wants to use the new. I love testing out new makeup for you guys, but we all know that this channel is also about getting the use out of your products. And I sort of use my collection to share recommendations with you, to go back to older things. So if you watch my Shop My Stashes, you know exactly what's going on. And every single time I film a Shop My Stash, I will also select a curated selection of some older palettes that either just slipped my mind or that I almost decluttered in the case of some of these that I now wanted to use again, or where I'm like, these go just so very well with the type of makeup I want to do right now, either because it's the springtime and I want to go for lighter colors, or it's the winter time and I want to whip out all the cool tones. Whatever the case, I make a little selection based on some very arbitrary criteria, and then I do the looks and I share in a video all my thoughts. Do I still like these? If these were on the chopping block, am I going to declutter them? Etc, etc. I'm trying to film this video before it gets hot. We had a lot of rain last night, luckily, so it kind of broke through the heat wave, but now we have this very sort of humid sort of heat, and I didn't turn on the fan because it starts to mess a little bit with my hay fever, but I'm gonna have to like close all the windows and doors again in a second, I think, just to make sure this room doesn't get super warm, and then just switch on the fan. That's what I did yesterday, and it worked quite well, but I want to film this video for you guys today, so I'm going to have the door open, so if you do hear background noises, that may happen, because it is Saturday, and that's usually a day when a lot of my neighbors start DIYing and doing other things. So if you hear noise in the background, I do apologize, but we are going to chat about these 6 little eyeshadow palettes. And we're just going to start with the mini things in the front. These are by M Cosmetics, and these were on the chopping block. I nearly decluttered these, and I now realize that there's no need for me to get rid of them, just like there is no need for me to keep them. Are these unique in my makeup collection? No, not at all. But now that I've used them again, I'm like, but they're a really nice formula, and I do really like these, and they're small and easy to use, and yeah, I can see myself going back to these in the future, so these are gonna have to go back into the drawer because I do really like them. So what are we talking about here? We have the Divine Skies eyeshadow palette in Rodin, and this one is the more neutrally one, so it's got some peachy tones in. That's not normally my favorite, but in the spring-summer season, tones like this I do quite enjoy. It reminds me a little bit of my Roman Mahogany Garden palette that I also enjoy in this time of year, so I definitely think there's something going on there. This is beautiful. I liked it very much. The thing with these M Cosmetics palettes, though, is that I don't really get the shimmers that I would ideally love, but it's a lovely little neutral palette. Easy to use, very easy formula to apply. It's the formula that really sort of made me go like, yes, I just have to keep these. And then the other one is Saturn's Return, which was promoted as a cool tone palette at the time it launched. It has cool tones in here, but if, like me, if you are on the cooler tone side complexion-wise, this may not be as cool toned as you would want it to be. The purpley gray tones, those are nicely cool tones, but those browny things, they're going to look very warm toned on your skin. At least for me, they already do that. And I'm more neutral leaning cool, so I'm not the super coolest toned person on the spectrum, you could say. So that's why I feel like this, it's a really good neutral palette for me. It's giving me a nice little mix of things. I do really enjoy these browns in here. And then those 2 purpley things just really make it like pop a little bit more. And I got a question the other day from someone asking like, hey, do you have any recommendations for like a very similar formula to the old Saturn formula by Inglot? Because I talked about that shade in a different video and the question was there. And I told them in the comment that Viseart is a really good contender, as is Sydney Grace. As is M Cosmetics, I now find. The satin shimmers in here, are some of the best satin shimmers I have played with in my lifetime, which is why I now realize these palettes didn't get a lot of hype when they launched, because I feel like these eyeshadow palette launched when eyeshadow palettes were either super intense, flaky, multi-chromes, we need all the pigment we can get kind of vibe, or no eyeshadow at all. And these are like that sort of in-between, effortless, easy-to-use eyeshadow, and we all know that those are the shadows I tend to love the most. Truly, I love a good indie palette. I love the impactful shades too, but I feel there is just a little bit, like there's more to eyeshadow than just pigmentation, and blendability and the way things wear throughout the day are, to me, almost more important than it is how pigmented things are. Because pigmentation, you can build things up with brushes, you can shear things out with brushes, of course, as well. So when it comes to pigmentation, I don't feel that that is the be-all and end-all of telling how good quality an eyeshadow is. For me, it's really in the application and then how it wears throughout the day. And these two palettes by M Cosmetics, Chef's Kiss, they are excellent. I think they are really good for mature skin as well. The only problem is they are based in the US. I don't think I've ever seen an M Cosmetics product being sold outside of their official website, and that can be very pricey, which is why I no longer buy from them, because one of the last times I placed an order with them, something went wrong with the shipping fee. I never got the money back. It was a whole thing. And so now I'm like, no, I'm no longer going to be doing that. But yeah, I do find the products worth it in the end, and the ones I have, I love. And I think I have a bit of M Cosmetics in a lot of my different like cheek and eye categories that I truly, truly enjoy. So there's a lot going on there. I use this one. This one was in my April rotation as well, but then I didn't get around to using it because April sort of caught up with me and I wasn't doing my makeup all that much because I was doing a lot of DIYing and I was doing loads of other things that didn't involve makeup, and so I didn't have the opportunity to film this video for you guys. But this one I did roll into my May Shop My Stash because I was like, I still want to use this. This is such a good spring palette, and I wore it yesterday, and whenever I see this palette, my eye instantly goes to the green tones and the purple. No matter what green tones you pick, some of them are a little bit more olivey. I tend to go for the sagey green ones, the grayish ones. Those are my favorites. And then this one. So I just decided to do a look with it. I didn't really know what to do with the purple, so I ended up placing a dot of it in my inner corner. And I thought it looked really cute. So here is the ABH Nouveau palette. This is one where I'm like, yeah, maybe I should get rid of it. But because of the color story and how unique it is and the sagey greens that I love in here, it's sort of, it's giving Natasha Denona retro glam, but without the pinky tones. This is a little bit more warm tone. So if the retro glam is something you could never get into because it was too cool tone, too gray leaning, because essentially in the retro glam by Natasha Denona, you only get 3 pinks that are the warmer tones and everything else is a grayish green. But in here, you do get those like ambery, peachy kind of shades. So especially if you have an olive undertone or something a little bit more warm toned, then I think this is going to give you the looks that if you have a cool undertone, you get from the retro glam. You know what I mean? So I do appreciate this palette a lot. I did drop mine, so it's a little bit fragile. So not safe to travel with anymore, and I have to be very careful how I stick my brushes in there. That was a reason for me to think, should I declutter it? But I love it enough to keep it around. This, there was no question, this is not on the chopping block at all, but this is by Wycon. This is the Glam Eyes Coolest Shades eyeshadow palette. And Wycon is a brand that I discovered because I went to Florence. I think it was already 2 years ago that I went to Florence. And they were almost like next door to Kiko in the Florence shopping street where I was at. And so I was like, okay, I'll go in there. And I found their price point to be a little bit pricier than Kiko Milano for a lot of their products. I mean, this palette originally retailed for like the same price as a Huda Beauty larger eyeshadow palette. But I do find that the quality of this is very similar to a Huda Beauty 18 pan eyeshadow palette, which are my favorite eyeshadow palettes by Huda Beauty, in case you didn't know. So yeah, I like this a lot. It's very sort of light and pastel leaning. I do apologize for the reflective background. And looks-wise, I actually went with the peachy shades. I normally don't. I always go in with this taupey silvery shimmer. Didn't do that this time, and ended up using the same dot technique with the light blue. It worked really well. I ended up really loving it. So these are very soft eyeshadows though. There isn't a lot of dimension in this eyeshadow palette unless you start pulling in that very dark navy. But it's a really, really good pale skin friendly eyeshadow palette. I can't wait to try more Wycon, and it looks like I might be able to make a trip to Italy again in the fall time this year. I know I can shop from them online, but I've just found that with the amount of makeup I already have, if I can go on a trip to a country where they sell that brand and I can then try and find it, it makes it so much easier for me, because then I have a nice little memory attached to the purchase. And what's more is that way I can actually see in the store what the products are like, and that makes it a lot more easy for me to really find the things that are going to work within my collection. I find shopping online pretty okay when it comes to like buying makeup, like eyeshadow palettes and stuff, but I would very much like to try like a foundation from this brand, or maybe a bronzer and a blush. I didn't get to try those things. I think I got an eyeshadow stick, a lip liner, and a lipstick. Both of them I love. They are really good mauve tones. They are still in my makeup collection. And this eyeshadow palette. The eyeshadow palette was on sale. It was 50% off. So at the time I paid like 35 euros for it, which made me like go like, okay, I can do that. But I would like to try some other things that I find more difficult to shop for online. Maybe a concealer. I'm not much of a powder girl, so that doesn't have my priority. But maybe like 1 or 2 base products and like 1 or 2 cheek products is something that I would like to try from the brand next. And then maybe get another lipstick, because I think those are like their best. Like the lipstick truly impressed me. Like the Wycon Matte Icon lipstick that I have, Pat McGrath quality. And Wycon is another one of those Italian brands where I'm like, are you being made in the same factory as all of these luxury brands? Like, I know I already have that feeling with Kiko, and with Kiko it's a lot more obvious because they have a lot of products that are either really similar to Charlotte Tilbury products or Hourglass products or Pat McGrath products. Like, it even looks the same in the pan, like the way the product just looks. The packaging isn't the same, but when you open it up, like the powder I love from Kiko, when you look at it, it looks just like the Hourglass powder it dupes. Kiko has eyeshadow palettes that even packaging-wise look like the Pat McGrath Bridgerton collection that they did. So Kiko has a lot more obvious dupes, I find, than Wycon does, and that's why I'm like, with Wycon, because I'm a little bit more unfamiliar with the brand, I want to try more by them, but I don't want to go online. I want to wait until I get myself to Italy, and it seems like it's in the cards for me this year. So fingers crossed it's going to happen. I'm going to do some research in the next couple of weeks. If I'm able to book a flight at the end of this month, then it's going to happen. So fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Then I wanted to do a purple look. I just really enjoy purple eyeshadow, and this is one of the best purple eyeshadow palettes that I have personally ever tried that is dedicated to all purple. And it's the Smoke Sessions 2 by Melt Cosmetics. I don't think they still sell this. And this is really beautiful. You get 8 shades that are all leaning a little bit more cooler toned purple, which is always my issue with a lot of purple palettes or purples in eyeshadow palettes, is that very often they have a reddish pink undertone, making them warm tone purples, but these are all blue toned. Even this one that looks like a brown, it's in my crease. No, it's not in my crease today. It's in my crease in the picture I took of the look. Because I was ill, I had to do 2 looks today. So I did this one, took it off, and then I did the last look I'm going to talk about, which is what you're seeing me film with today. I still have places to go today. I'm going to see Harry Styles tonight. Super excited for it. And I was like, you know what? I want to do something super basic that I can just wear throughout the day, and then right before I leave, I'm just going to put a fun glitter eyeshadow on top and gonna call it a night. I think that's going to be the move. But yeah, this is the look I did just before this one, so it's still in my brain. I used this in the crease, and it looks like a mauvey brown sort of shade in the pan, but on me, if I wear it by itself, it looks super purple. It's insane how that works. I think there's just something about like undertones that it just shows up that way. I think if you may be more warm toned, it doesn't show up like that. That's the way things sadly roll. And then we get 2 other mattes that are a little bit more like deep leaning. What I realized as I was playing with it today is that I don't really have like a good blue toned purpley matte to go with shades like this. Because I put this one all over the lid. This is in the inner corner, and I used this one as liner. And I was like, this would have been even better if it had a shade that is like a matte to sort of tie these blue tone purples in, these shimmers, and then something that's lighter than this. So this could have been a 10 pan for me. But it's okay. I played around with it and I enjoy it still. It's got a really good melt formula that I know I love, so there's no complaining from me there. This is an excellent eyeshadow palette, and I knew the minute this came out that I wanted to own it. So the Melt Smoke Sessions 2 is something that I'm very happy I have. And then something that was also on the chopping block that I wasn't sure about, but something told me to keep it around. So this is something that I wanted to play with just to see how I feel about it. And then Sigma, because this is the Sigma new mod. Mine is a little smudgy, I do apologize. But then they announced that new Vintage Romance palette, is that's what it's called? The new bridal palette that they do. And I looked at the images and I was like, that looks like the cool neutrals and the new mod went and had a baby. And since I own both of those eyeshadow palettes, I was like, rather than feeling the need to buy this new eyeshadow palette, because I know I love the Sigma formula, they do some excellent things, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to play with this, tickle that itch, and I'm gonna feel good about myself. And that's exactly what happened. I put this on today and I was like, yep, that vintage thing, I don't need it in my life because I can create a look with just this. Just this, and I already can very easily do the types of looks that I've seen in the promo pictures from that new Sigma palette, and I'm like, I don't need that. So if you already own this, or if you own a palette that's similar with these like mauvey tones and brown tones, you don't need the bridal palette. You really don't. You really don't. I went with something pretty basic. This does run a little bit deep for me, which is why I do not tend to gravitate towards this all the time, which is why it was on the chopping block. Because there's quite a lot of like deeper like mattes in here, and also in the shimmers it does go quite warm and matte. But I stuck to like the things where I was like, okay, if I want to go for something a little bit more natural that can act as a fun base to just layer something on top later tonight, I went with this. I went with this, which I did have to apply with a finger because it was very thin with a brush, but I like that sort of subtle hint of something already being there. And then I just went in with this one as liner, this one on the lower lash line, and then I put that soft beige color in the inner corner. And I think it looks really beautiful, effortless. It's sort of giving like the kind of look that I would have gotten out of the M Cosmetics palettes as well. Really easy to use. Yeah, I really like this. I wanted to go for this shimmer. It was like, but that sort of taupey sort of vibe you wear all the time. So let's go with this. And it's like this, it's got this slight hint of blue, which when you move your face, it just really nicely catches the light. And it looks like there's something more going on than just a basic sort of shimmer. You know what I mean? So this one, I'm really glad I didn't get rid of it yet, and that I still have it in my collection, and that I can now just enjoy this a lot more. So that was my intention with this one, and I definitely managed to do that. So it's now getting really, really hot with no fan on and everything open. So I need to go shut some doors. So I'm going to stop filming this video here. Thanks so much for being here. Thumbs up this video if you like it, and then I hope to see you again really, really soon in a new video. We have June coming, and I'm really excited for June. I'm looking forward to summer. I have so many fun plans, and then that I kind of know what's going on with my system and the meds are working. I'm like, yes, we are back on track. I still have a bit of a summer ahead of me with all of the medical stuff that needs to be figured out. Lots of different appointments. But I now feel very, very strongly secure that things are going to be fine, and they're going to figure out what happened to me, and it's all going to be good. But yeah, I'm still a little doped up, but I'm feeling really good, and it's giving a lot of clues as to what might be going on as well, which that was my biggest fear of like having to go through this maze of like medical misinformation again, like I had to do with the other thing that was wrong with me. But I think I know exactly what's already going on, and I just need to convince a doctor of the fact that they think the same thing. But And then I still don't know exactly what causes it, but at least I know that it was just complete system override. And that's what caused my throat to shut down, which is great. Yeah, lots of appointments coming in the next couple of weeks. I've got a fun trip planned. I have a dancing weekend planned. I've got a summer vacation booked. I'm still in the midst of updating and upgrading my living room. Life is good, people, and I'm looking forward to this summer. So let's gear up for June, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye-bye.